Okay, Alexander, we've got an update on Epstein, Maxwell, Ghislaine, all that stuff. But this involves Prince Andrew. And I'm reading a title here from RT, which says, "No one is above the law. Met Police warns Prince Andrew as force reexamines the assault allegations against him." That's, I guess, Scotland Yard is on the case. Um, what does this tell you? What's
Possibly,
going on?
possibly. Now, of course, can I just say, at the early stage of an investigation, the police often say, well, actually, there is no investigation. We're just reviewing the evidence. But that's nearly always a euphemism for a fact that there is an investigation. There's certainly been a complaint, and this, I believe, comes from one of the witnesses in the case in the United States, the Maxwell case in the United States. I think it's Virginia Giuffre, but I'm not okay. But it's quite likely that there are others. And the way, by the way, in which Cressida Dick, who is the police commissioner for London, the way she's actually said it, it leaves it open to the possibility that there might be other allegations that are unconnected with the Maxwell case against Andrew also. It was a very, very strange statement altogether. Will it result in any case against Prince Andrew? Well, she's come up with all kinds of brave words about how no one is above the law. I think if anybody is above the law in Britain, probably it is a member of the royal family. And I would have thought that they would be extremely reluctant in Britain to press charges against someone like Prince Andrew because of the massive embarrassment it would cause to the entire British establishment, which is repeatedly, by the way, the target of speculations that many of its members, not just individuals like Prince Andrew, are involved in sexual misconduct. So I would have thought that this is probably more done for appearances than because there's a real investigation underway. And interestingly enough, Ghislaine, back in the United States, is apparently telling her lawyers, that if things really turn out badly, she will actually defend Andrew, which you can judge what the significance of that is too. So it's far from clear to me that this is going to go anywhere exactly, but it is hugely embarrassing nonetheless to the British authorities and to the British establishment that these allegations are being made, and that Scotland Yard, the Metropolitan Police, have been forced to admit that an investigation of a kind is actually underway.
Yeah, whenever I hear the words "no one is above the law," whenever I hear these guys saying that, then to me it's a telltale sign. It's obvious that they're just gaslighting everybody.
Absolutely, yeah.
They mean that all these people are above the law. That's what they're telling us. They are above the law, but we're just going to tell you that they're not above the law. I doubt they're going to do anything to Andrew. And if they do something to Andrew, I would imagine it would be a slap on the wrist type of thing if they even get there. I mean, what are the actual how serious is sexual assault in the UK? I mean, that's what he's being investigated for? That could be the charge, or what's
Yeah,
going on there?
it is taken very seriously, and of course, at a social level, it is extremely serious. If you are prosecuted, even the smallest sexual assault is a criminal crime, is a criminal offence. Sexual harassment is a crime. You can also get onto all kinds of registers if you are a convicted sex offender, and if you are sent to prison in Britain for a serious sexual crime, such as rape, for example, or indeed crimes involving children, well, I mean, God help you, the prisoners will not like you.
But does assault fall under? Is assault an umbrella term, or is that a specific?
Right. Assault is a common law offence. It is a crime under British law, and assault can, by the way, amount to just words as well as actual physical contact. So it is absolutely a crime. Common assault, that's just words, basically. It's scarcely, I mean, it's not really imprisonable. But if there's a sexual dimension to it, then it becomes aggravated. And then, of course, it becomes a serious crime and it can result in prison terms. So these are serious allegations and serious crimes taken very seriously in Britain. And, you know, if the police pursue them and investigate them and they end in convictions, then, I mean, it is a career destroying, reputation destroying thing.
Interestingly enough, the comments were made by Dick's comments, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, were in reference to a lawsuit in the US filed by Guthrie, so not even in the UK. So this is in reference to a lawsuit in the US where it's not only assault that she filed against Andrew in the US, it's also battery and inflicting emotional distress on her when she was 17. So how does that work, that these were filed in the US, but the UK is going to look at it on their end?
Well, there's 2 points to make here. Firstly, I mean, it's not impossible that they're looking at things that Andrew is alleged to have done in Britain itself, and they would be, as I said, very serious criminal offences in Britain if evidence could be found to prosecute them. So, I mean, you know, and of course, Geoffrey was in Britain some of the time. So one mustn't assume that this isn't something where the British courts might not have jurisdiction and a role to play. But the other possibility is that the British police are being asked for help by the prosecutors in the American case, and that they're going over evidence in order to assist the US prosecutors. And that might be all kinds of evidence about the kind of people that Prince Andrew was in contact with, what his exact connections with with Epstein, and indeed with Maxwell, were, things of that kind. And you could quite possibly see evidence from the British being used in the court case against Maxwell, which is coming up in the United States at some point later this year.
Yeah, Guthrie does allege that Prince Andrew did assault her at the London property owned by Maxwell.
Absolutely.
So there is that as well.
No,
So
no, I mean,
happened
I mean, the point is this. I mean, you have to get evidence to corroborate what Geoffrey is saying. I mean, you can to some extent base it purely on what she says, but I think, especially in a case involving someone like Andrew, they would want some evidence that confirms that that the story is true. For example, some evidence that he was actually physically there on the day that Geoffrey said he was, and that might not be impossible to get hold of. I mean, even after a long period of time, there might be witnesses, there might be records. Sometimes in British residences, there's a register of who visits. Who knows what there might be? So, but there have definitely been allegations of possible misconduct, possible crimes committed in Britain itself, and it's highly likely that the police are reviewing them. But as I said, reviewing them, investigating them, that's a very, very long step from actually bringing charges. And I have to say that before any charges were brought against Andrew, the evidence would have to be simply overwhelming, because otherwise I think that the British authorities would not want to go there. And to be straightforward about it, even if the charges were overwhelming, I still think that they would not want to go there, despite all the brave words about nobody being above the law, which you're absolutely right to be totally cynical about.
Yeah, well, everything's at stake here for the globalists, if you ask me, because I'm really curious to see how this Maxwell thing plays out, because with Epstein and with Maxwell, you have Gates, you have Clinton, you have Andrew. I mean, you have all the globalists and oligarchs who have maybe probably a lot more people as well, who have put into motion, all of this coup stuff and these restrictions and everything. And these are the people that are on TV talking about it, especially Gates. And there's a lot riding on all of this, a lot of globalist plans, a lot of big tech plans, a lot of government plans are riding on getting everything in place, according to people like, say, Schwab or these guys. And now you have Maxwell, who's just sitting in a prison, and I'm sure they're just saying, all these guys are saying she has to go away. We have to figure this out. Now you have Andrew, a loose end. Andrew's a loose end, but he is the establishment. He is the globalists. I mean, he is
Absolutely.
part of that group, but he's a loose end as well. You have Gates, who's kind of been sidelined in a way, but he's also part of it. Or Clinton, all these loose ends, but also people who are integral to the plan that's being unfolded in front of our eyes. I'm just really curious to see how all of this is going to play out, because there's a lot riding on this Maxwell case, a lot riding with Andrew and the whole Epstein thing.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you cannot get more establishment, more British establishment than a member of the royal family, than the Queen's son. And you cannot get more global elite than, again, a member of the British royal family. I mean, this one is this person, Andrew, is right at the absolute epicenter of that world. I mean, he is the most insider that there is. I doubt that there's anybody who is more inside, if I can put it like that, than he is. Obviously, a huge amount is riding on it. And can I just say, I mean, the other thing, and I think a lot of people feel this, lots of people are frustrated about the way in which the Maxwell case has progressed, and before that, the Epstein case has progressed, and there's a huge amount of feeling out there that all sorts of people who were involved have not been identified or exposed, and one can understand why. But that feeling makes me wonder whether there's any real prospect that anything will be brought against Andrew either, because presumably for the same reason that other people have not so far been exposed in the Epstein/Maxwell cases, they're not going to be exposed in relation to Prince Andrew. So, it's the same sort of things that are operating in the same sort of way. It's very, I cannot overstate how embarrassing this affair has been for the British. They couldn't deny the connection between Andrew and Geoffrey because, well, there's photographic evidence and there's witness evidence which confirms it. They wished it would go away, and it's been incredibly difficult just to sweep it under a carpet. And Andrew himself gave a disastrous interview for British television, in which he made many people even more convinced that he was very deeply involved. So they are deeply upset and embarrassed about that, but that will be as nothing compared to what it would happen if he were ever put on trial. And for that reason, I generally, truly don't believe it's going to happen.
Okay, let's see. Let's see if we ever get a trial with Ghislaine Maxwell.
Well, indeed, yes, absolutely. Absolutely true, of course. Things happen, as they say, especially if you find yourself in certain prisons. I've even heard jokes being made about it.
Yeah, all right. We'll continue to follow this. Guys, go to theduran.locals.com. You'll find a link down below. Join us there. Go to ODYSEE, BitChute, Rumble, SuperU, the free speech video platform, SuperU, and the Duran shop. Pick up some merch, 10% off when you use the code Real News. You'll find the link down below. Take care.